So I've gone on a few rides with Uncle Dan. The first time we went on a ride together, we had similar bike configurations. He had skinnier tires and electronic shifting, but we both had one by, he had kind of a cyclocrossy type setup. I had my gravel bike, my Fasari. And so we were kind of matched relatively equally, but now that we've gone the last couple times, he's had his Breezer bike from the 90s. I love 90s road bikes. That was what I initially had. If you've watched the channel, you know that I rode on a Cannondale 1995 touring setup. And so I, definitely grew to love road bikes through that configuration. And so now that I have a gravel bike, I can kind of see the differences between the two and where the road bike is stronger in some cases and where the gravel bike is stronger in other cases, and still kind of stand by the decisions that I make to ride the bike side I make. But there are differences, and one of the stark differences that I notice when I'm riding with Uncle Dan is his bike configuration, his Breezer with his setup. Even though he has less cogs, he has like a 25 sprocket in the back, he's a better climber. He's faster up hills. I can go up steeper for longer because my gearing is better, but even with his higher gearing than mine, he's still a faster climber. Like when we go up hills, I'll just chill. I'll catch up with him eventually, but he has to kind of gun it. And it might be because he has less hill gears. He feels like he needs to go faster and maintain higher momentum. But I can certainly go slower on the hills. And the bike is just slower. And so that's another thing, right? So it's slower on the hills, and number two, the acceleration of the two configurations is completely different. His ability to go from 0 to back up to speed versus mine is way different. I kind of have to take my time to get to my top speed. Once the thing that's nice about the Fasari is once it's at top speed, really stable and really efficient at a high speed, so you feel like you can maintain a good speed and save energy. And then where mine has its advantages was basically anytime the road gets uneven. I don't have to avoid any unevennesses in the road. My wider tire, lower pressures means that I just ride in more comfort. And that comfort a lot of the times translates to faster when the road gets bumpy. Any sort of unevenness in the road, any sort of gravel, any sort of off-road paths, and some of them for his bike, he just won't even go on them. So my ability to go over more surfaces is definitely an advantage that I really appreciate. Because once I finished one of my rides with him, I just went off-road right afterwards just to kind of get the itch out. So if you like to be able to ride over a more variety of surfaces, then you would definitely want to pick the gravel bike. But if efficiency and speed is your thing, like for example, if I was doing there's an annual Seattle-Portland STP ride, I would probably ride a more skinny tire road bike configuration on that type of a ride, but you could still do it on the gravel bike and I'd be super happy. But to be more efficient for the longer period of time and I was on road, I would clearly pick the road bike. But if I had any sort of off-roading, or I was going to backcountry or trail roads or anything that had some sort of dirt or looseness to it, then I definitely want a gravel configuration with the wider tires and the tubeless setup. So those are just my thoughts. If you were considering one or the two of the other, please get in the comment section and tell me what kind of bike you ride and the reasoning behind it. Obviously, the type of riding that you do is going to affect the type of bike that you want to ride. But as it turns out over the years, I realized I definitely love being able to go off-road. I don't like to do exclusively. I'm realizing the terminology now of what I like to do is called mixed surface riding. Tends to be where I'm most happy. Anyway, thanks for listening. Talk to you soon, my lovers.